So Guillermo Del Toro, and I know I'm probably going to say his name wrong a few dozen times. It is hard for the Australian accent to pronounce, well, at least me. Anyway, he absolutely knocked it out of the park with this one. I feel like those moments in movies where you feel like, it's like that meme, that This Is Cinema meme, where you just feel like you're watching something that is really just artwork. And I feel like I have those moments less and less now. And this was that movie for me. It just gave me goosebumps. Like that feeling, that hopeful feeling that great movies are still getting made. I honestly felt like clapping at the end of this movie, but I was alone in my living room, so that would have been weird. So I feel like we're getting a resurgence of those classic Universal monster movies. We have not one, but two mummy movies coming out within the next year, and I'm so excited for that. I'm actually about to do a video covering The Mummy 4 because that is one of my favorite franchises. We've had around a million Dracula vampire movies. Nosferatu was really good. We had the Wolfman movie come out last year, I think. So it definitely feels like those movies are coming back and I'm all for it. Some of my favorites are The Invisible Man and Dracula Untold. I feel like that movie doesn't get enough love. Like, I don't really hear a lot of people talking about Dracula Untold, and it is a straight up action movie pretty much. But still, it is so good. So I love gothic horror movies. It is one of my favorite subgenres of horror, and this is definitely fitting the bill. It is the classic Guillermo Del Toro creepy mansion in the woods like Crimson Peak. He directed that, and that is one of the most visually beautiful movies I've ever seen. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. He didn't direct that one, but he did write it, and I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough. It's a movie about evil fairies, and yeah, it is targeted like at a younger demographic, but adults can definitely enjoy it. So if you've been living under a rock and you don't know about Frankenstein, this movie is based upon the famous novel written by Mary Shelley when she was a teenager, all the way back in 1818. So basically the mad scientist trope was invented by this book, so it may seem familiar, but this is what started it all. And there's been basically a million different interpretations of the movie since then. Some of my favorites are the movie Victor Frankenstein. It's on Disney Plus at the moment. I feel like not a lot of people talk about that. Look, it is a very generic action type movie, but James McAvoy, his interpretation and performance as the mad scientist just make the movie for me. And his father is actually played by Charles Dance, who also plays the mad scientist's father in Frankenstein as well, in this Guillermo one. So obviously he saw that movie and probably contacted Charles Dance and asked him to come on board. So that was pretty cool. There's the Buffy episode that was based upon Frankenstein. There's the Once Upon a Time TV show version of Dr. Frankenstein. Those are some of my favorites. I haven't actually seen the original movie yet, but I really need to watch it. Okay, so let's talk about the cast. We have Jacob Elordi. He's about to play Heathcliff in Wuthering Heights. I don't like the direction and the angle they're taking with that movie. Basically, it's 50 Shades of Grey meets a period piece. And yeah, that was not what the novel was at all, but I bring it up because I think it's really interesting that he plays in both movies this sort of tragic figure who's getting whipped by family type members, people he counts as family that he should be able to trust, and they're both period pieces. So Jacob Elordi isn't someone who you would look at and think period piece, but he really does work here. He's a great actor. My only complaint isn't about his performance, but the way he looks. It's really not as scary as you would want the monster to look, because the whole point of him is that he looks monstrous, but he's this, kind person underneath. And yeah, he just looks like a guy with a lot of scars. Okay, so Mia Goth is that person you would look at and think period piece, and she's been in quite a few, I think. A Cure for Wellness is the only one I've actually seen. And I think she was good in that. She's a good actress, but she didn't really wow me here. There was nothing bad about her performance, but nothing really stood out to me either. But she definitely looked like she fit into that universe. So Oscar Isaac absolutely was the standout for me. As the mad scientist, he played Victor Frankenstein really well. And I feel like he played the whole narcissist with a god complex perfectly, but also gave him layers that we haven't really delved into too much in other movies. So we have the actor that played Filch in the Harry Potter movies, and I didn't even realize it was him until I heard him say, "Who's there?" And I expected him to say, "Students out of bed," because I've seen that movie so many times, but obviously he doesn't say that because he's playing a different character. And him and Charles Dance were actually in Game of Thrones together as well. And Charles Dance was also in Dracula Untold as the original vampire monster, so lots of crossovers. So obviously a major theme of this movie is that the mad scientist himself, Victor Frankenstein, is the monster, not his creation. Yet at the same time, I felt like exploring that angle with the monster being as sympathetic as it was portrayed here, it could have backfired leaning so heavily into that angle. It didn't. It added to the movie. It made it a case of style and substance. We had characters we actually cared about. It was a character-driven piece with emotion, yet also visuals that were beautiful. Set design was incredible. It just looked good and also had heart. So the score was really good as well. The runtime, it went for 2.5 hours, but you didn't feel it. It felt appropriate for this movie and the story they were telling. I would say, like I said earlier, this is one to see in theaters. In terms of the themes of the movie, it's obviously about forgiveness, at least in this portrayal of it anyway. Humanity and humanity's search for immortality and the power of God. And as a Christian, I found that interesting. I'm not saying Mary Shelley was a Christian or Guillermo. I don't think that at all. But at the same time, they're obviously exploring those themes, and it can speak to a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. But the message I got from it is that man wants the power of God without the love of God, and just exploring the consequence of that. I found this movie to be one that really stood out to me. It's definitely going to go on my list for top 10 movies of the year. I can say that confidently already. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.